Tonight, stranded by the strike.
Unfortunately, we have not gotten anything even up to now, with no email, no update.
How much some Winnipeggers are paying for accommodations and return tickets after the short-lived WestJet strike left them without a clear path home. Also tonight, what the Winnipeg Sea Bears are saying about an alleged assault that sent their star player to the sidelines and the hospital. Plus, what goes up must come down.
It's still not the kind of way you like to do science, though.
But in this case, it's coming down on the lunar surface. What researchers here in Manitoba are hoping to learn from tomorrow's crash landing of an old SpaceX rocket.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Some WestJet passengers remain stranded around the world tonight. The airline is slowly resuming service after a strike over the weekend grounded hundreds of flights. But some passengers say they've been left with little information and in some cases have had to find their own way home. CTV's Danton Unger is standing by live in studio with the latest. Danton, what are you hearing from passengers tonight?
Well, they're facing long waits on the phone with WestJet and even longer waits to get home, Marilee. WestJet planes are back in the air, but several passengers remain grounded.
We're all being stuck in limbo, basically.
Winnipegger Julia Henry is in Jamaica, where she and her husband were visiting family. The couple was set to fly home on Monday, but their plans changed as flight attendants hit the picket line this weekend. Though a tentative deal was reached Monday, WestJet says more than 900 flights were canceled as a result. Henry's among them.
Honestly, very frustrated. The communication is really awful from WestJet.
After trying for a day to contact WestJet, Henry was finally told the earliest flight home would be next week. She decided to fly home earlier with a different airline, but it cost nearly $3,000.
Which is completely insane, but there's not really much we could do about it in terms to get home.
Meanwhile, the Santos family was supposed to have a quick layover in Iceland on their way home to Winnipeg. Instead, they've been stuck there since Sunday.
It's been a hectic few days now, not just a couple, a few days. And with 4 kids, we're just trying to survive.
The WestJet was able to book them a flight home Wednesday. The extended stay in Iceland has cost them around $4,000.
Yeah, just hang on to those receipts and we should be reimbursed for that.
Hopefully.
Air passenger rights advocate Gabor Lucas says if WestJet passengers had their flights canceled, the airline should be the one to pay to get them home.
You are at liberty to buy yourself a ticket and then charge that ticket to WestJet, make them pay for it. If they don't pay it, then a judge will order them to pay it.
Now, Henry says she will be seeking a refund from WestJet, and the next time she takes to the skies, she'll be using a different airline.
All right, Dan, what about WestJet? What does it have to say about all of this?
Yeah, well, Marilee, I reached out to the airline earlier today just asking how long it's going to take to get these passengers back home and whether or not WestJet will be covering the expenses incurred by these passengers as a result of the cancellations. Now, WestJet didn't answer these questions but sent a generic statement saying, in part, the airline is working to restore its network and encourages guests to continue checking the status of their flight before heading to the airport.
All right, thanks for this, Danton. Manitoba's police watchdog has been called in after an officer shot a woman in the North End Monday. This was the scene Monday near the corner of College Avenue and Charles Street, just behind McCrae School. It all began around 2:30 a.m. when an officer in the area says he heard multiple gunshots. When they went to investigate, police say they were confronted by an 18-year-old woman and a 16-year-old boy. That's when the officer shot the woman, who was taken to hospital in unstable condition and later upgraded to stable. Police allegedly seized a firearm from the pair. The 16-year-old was arrested in connection to the earlier shooting. The Independent Investigation Unit is asking anyone with information or video footage to give them a call. The Winnipeg Sea Bears say its top scorer won't be able to hit the court for Thursday's playoff game after an assault in downtown Winnipeg. In a statement released today, the basketball team alleges Teddy Allen was the victim of an assault at the hands of security at a nightclub over the weekend. It says his injuries are significant, and while he is out of the hospital, the club says he will need further diagnosis, follow-up care, and possibly surgery. CTV reached out to Winnipeg police, who tell us they are aware of the incident and are investigating. Allen is the leading scorer in the CEBL, recording 667 points in 24 games this season. A man accused of gunning down a soccer player in a brazen targeted shooting outside a Winnipeg soccer complex has been arrested more than 2 years later in BC. Winnipeg police say 24-year-old Tresor Horambe was arrested in Langley Thursday before being turned over to local authorities yesterday. He's charged with first-degree murder in connection to the fatal shooting of 22-year-old Mohammed Youssef Abdulhali in the parking lot of a soccer complex in July of 2024. Horambe was named the 4th most wanted fugitive in Canada last fall by the Be on the Lookout program, which put up several billboards seeking tips and offering a $100,000 reward. We reached out to the BOLO program to find out if that reward will be paid out. We're still waiting for a response. 2 other suspects were arrested in connection to the shooting last year. The U.S. State Department has notified Congress it plans to close 5 foreign consulates, including the one here in Winnipeg. This is all according to people who spoke to Reuters on condition of anonymity because the notice wasn't public. The consulate is located at 201 Portage Avenue at the corner of Portage and Main. Winnipeg is actually home to what's known as a presence post, which is less than a full-service consulate. It only has 2 staff and serves more as a conduit for discussions between the Manitoba government and its U.S. counterpart. When asked for comment, the U.S. State Department did not confirm the closures, but said it was focused on ensuring the nation's diplomatic footprint was efficient and effective. An international relations expert from the University of Manitoba calls the move short-sighted.
Winnipeg is home of the Canadian NORAD regional headquarters, and at a time when Canada and the United States are modernizing NORAD and there are a lot of defense projects in the works, it's a shame that we won't have direct U.S. representation in the city.
According to Reuters, the other posts being closed are in Grenada, Japan, Indonesia, and Cameroon. Our city's largest ethno-cultural celebration is off and running once again, and here to help us take in some of the excitement is CTV's Taylor Brock, who's standing by at the South Sudanese Pavilion tonight. Taylor, how are things going over there?
Fantastic. Doors haven't opened yet, but I've already got a fancy bracelet on. I'm told it's made of corn, so they were all made by hand. Unfortunately, we can't eat these, but there is plenty of food here on the menu, which is why Lily's here to chat with me. She's an ambassador. So Lily, what can we expect to eat here at the pavilion?
Oh, okay. So many food. There's sambusa, our cultural beverage. It's a hibiscus drink. It's so yummy. We have some mullah with it's like a stew, and I'm not familiar, but there is with rice. Sometimes we do eat it with something called asida.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like a flour-based kind of food, and then other cultures in Africa call it fufu.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can eat it with a lot of things.
And I understand you've got like a handheld shepherd's pie.
Yeah, that's called sambusa. It's a triangle breading.
Yeah.
And it has ground beef.
TV magic.
Yes. We have peas and carrots in it.
Open one up. Show folks what's inside.
Okay. It's really crunchy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it totally looks like shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. I'd love to eat some.
Yeah.
But I can't keep kosher. But you do have a really big menu.
Yeah.
And again, with TV Magic, we're going to pull out a very large menu so you can show us a little more. So I know you've got quite a few things on here.
Yes.
But what are you heading to in the food line?
Salads.
Oh, yeah?
Salads, and I don't know, I'm a big sambusa person. I love it. I eat it with ranch all the time. I just eat it with a bunch of things, and I eat it going to school for lunches. It's just an awesome small thing you can eat during a lunch snack.
Honestly, this looks like a lot of awesome street food or late night eats.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are in the late night scene coming up, we'll do some dancing.
Yes.
That is still to come just before 6:30, Marilee, and I've already got my dancing shoes on, so I'm ready to humiliate myself again on live TV.
I can't wait. What a good sport. Thanks, Taylor. We will check back in with Taylor in a little bit. All right, Colleen Brady is in now for a first look at your Skywatch forecast. And I almost grabbed a sweater on my way out the door today, Colleen. What's going on?
Yeah,
Summer's over?
I wish I had grabbed a sweater by, the feel of the weather out there today. More stable air mass, but it was cooler. You might have noticed, not quite the heat and humidity that we experienced up until just a couple of days ago. Fear not, no, summer is not over just yet. This is just sort of an aberration. We'll see temperatures start to climb tomorrow. Should mention, by the way, the food at the South Sudanese Pavilion is terrific. Last time I was there, it was great. Tonight, we'll see these clouds move on out, and the temperatures are going to drop. I'll show you where we could see overnight lows as cool as the single digits here in southern Manitoba, but when those temperatures will warm up as well. What's ahead for the rest of this shortened work week, too? Let's take a look right now, though. First, through the CTV Live Eye, it is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, cloudy and 20 degrees. Not so long ago, 20 was our overnight low. It'll be a little cooler than that tonight here in Winnipeg. Not single digits, but cooler. Winds out of the west-northwest at 18 kilometers an hour. The pressure's rising, and the humidity right now merrily is 48%.
Thanks, Colleen. A search is underway in northern Manitoba tonight for a fisherman who is feared to have drowned. Mounties say 60-year-old James Redmond from Alberta was reported missing yesterday morning. Investigators have since found some of his gear along the Nelson River, approximately 200 meters upstream from the dam at the Kelsey Generating Station. RCMP drones and a private diving company were expected to join in the search today. A 35-year-old man is charged following a random stabbing at the Forks Saturday night. It happened at a bus stop on Israel Asper Way around 6:30 p.m. Police say the victim, a man in his 20s, was stabbed by an unknown man while waiting for the bus. He was taken to hospital in stable condition. The suspect left the scene but was arrested a short time later on Forks Market Road. He's charged with aggravated assault, possession of a weapon, and failing to comply with the conditions of his release. Winnipeg firefighters responded to 4 blazes Sunday night, including one at a vacant restaurant on Main Street that was hit during an arson spree last year. Fire crews were called to the shuttered Bougie restaurant Sunday night around 5:30. Heavy smoke could be seen coming from the building at the time. It took crews 4 hours to get this blaze under control, and some remained on scene overnight, continuing to put out hot spots. No one was found inside, and no injuries were reported. The restaurant suffered significant fire, water, and smoke damage. It was previously damaged by fire in October of 2025, which was later determined to be arson. Winnipeg police are investigating after a number of parks in the Waverly West area were tagged with hateful graffiti over the weekend. One of those hit was Eaglewood Park in the Prairie Point neighborhood. Waverly West City Councillor Janice Lukes tells CTV News the homophobic and gang-related tags were found in 3 parks and on some private property over the long weekend. Luke says crews were expected to be out today to clean up the graffiti, but Neighborhood Association President Jasmine Brar says it should have been done sooner.
Personally, for myself, this is completely unacceptable to leave this over the weekend. I spoke to many parents and residents in the neighborhood, and they don't feel safe sending their kids to the park.
Brar says concerning graffiti has been found in the area a number of times before. The City of Winnipeg is seeking proposals for the new permanent fire paramedic station planned for Waverly West. Crews are currently working out of a temporary modular station on Eaglewood Drive. The permanent one will be similar in style and design to one which recently opened in Transcona. The request for proposals notes it will be just under 1,000 square meters with 3 bays. This will be the city's first non-road infrastructure project to use Canadian Construction Documents Committee contracts. The deadline to submit a proposal is August 28th. The temporary station will be decommissioned once the new station is completed, and it will then be moved to another location in the city. A SpaceX rocket on a collision course with the moon has the attention of Manitoba astronomers and stargazers alike. The rocket, which launched in January of 2025, is due for a direct impact early Wednesday morning. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
This SpaceX rocket launched into outer space in January 2025. A year and a half later, it's now on a collision course with the moon.
You usually wouldn't crash something big and expensive into the moon on purpose like that.
Thousands of people are expected to watch the collision set for early Wednesday morning through a high-powered telescopic lens, including Scott Young from the Manitoba Museum. Young says there is an opportunity to study the scientific impacts of the crash.
How the rocks fly out, how big the dust cloud is, all of the details of that explosion will actually tell us a lot about what the surface of the moon is like.
That impact, however, will shower pieces of debris into outer space. Scientists like Winnipeg's Ed Clutis say they're very concerned.
It's kind of a wild west up there. There's nobody looking after the space environment.
Clutis helps build satellites and says the more material orbiting the Earth, the greater the risk for future satellite and rocket launches.
What's called the Kessler syndrome, which means that you have a couple of collisions and that creates debris, and then that debris will hit other things in orbit, and you just create this growing mass of debris.
Astronomy enthusiast Kenton Dick says the collision is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, he'll be watching through his lens to see the impact with curiosity.
We are going to be disposing of it in the most spectacular fashion I can think of.
But on the other hand, the debris is making it harder to capture pictures of outer space.
The amount of work that it takes can be complicated by the fact that we have all of this stuff just constantly streaking through every which way.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still to come tonight, a new poll shakes up the Conservative leadership conversation.
At this point, it doesn't look like Canadians are looking for an alternative.
The results show little enthusiasm for Pierre Poilievre, but it isn't all bad news for the federal Conservative leader. That story when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil lost $4.57. The loonie slipped to 71.08 cents U.S. Gold futures added $62. The technology and base metal sectors pushed the TSX 575 points higher. The Dow Jones jumped 907 points, while the Nasdaq climbed 671 points. Winnipeg police have arrested a 29-year-old man after he allegedly pulled a gun on another driver during a road rage incident. It happened around 6 a.m. yesterday morning in the area of St. James Street and Ness Avenue. According to officers, a 29-year-old driver started arguing with a 53-year-old man behind the wheel of another vehicle and pulled out a handgun. The 53-year-old sped off, but was followed by the 29-year-old, who managed to pull in front of him, forcing him to stop. We're told the 29-year-old then got out of his vehicle, still holding that gun, but left when he saw the other driver calling police. Police tracked down the suspect and charged him with assault with a weapon. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is in Washington today for fresh talks with his counterparts. And even with the threat of more Trump tariffs in less than 2 weeks, it seems the two sides remain far apart. CTV's Joy Malbin has more from Washington.
Canada's trade team posted this the last time around, proof of their meeting with U.S. Trade Ambassador Jameson Greer. The talk so urgent, so sensitive, the Canadian delegation put out a statement saying they're back in Washington to talk some more.
We're in a hard set of talks right now. I certainly understand why Minister LeBlanc and Chief Negotiator Charette and Ambassador Wiseman are being very, very discreet and very cautious about what they say and do publicly. This administration has been mercurial. It is unpredictable at the best of times.
These talks unfolding against President Donald Trump's latest pressure tactic.
Mexico and Canada need us. We don't need them. The deal is important for them. It's not important for us.
As the clock ticks down to yet another Trump tariff, a threatened 50% aimed at Canadian goods, $20 billion in exports at risk starting August 19th. Retaliation, Washington says, for what it calls discriminatory Canadian treatment of U.S. goods. But having seen his fair share of hardball trade negotiations, former Finance Minister Ralph Goodale remains optimistic.
We're in the top 3 markets in the world for 47 of the American states. So obviously, despite the bluster, despite the arguments to the contrary on the American side, Canada is very critically important to the Americans.
Neither side, it seems, wants to blink first, and with little evidence of a breakthrough, at least the two sides are still talking. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
New data from Nanos research shows there is no obvious conservative challenger to Prime Minister Mark Carney. In fact, the poll commissioned by CTV News shows the strongest contender to beat Carney is former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. So what does this mean for the party's current leader, Pierre Poilievre? CTV's Rachel Aiello explains.
No prominent Canadian Conservative could defeat Prime Minister Mark Carney. That's the big takeaway from a new poll commissioned by CTV News. It asked Canadians which high-profile Tory would have the best chance if they were leading the Conservative Party. And Nanos research found that the top choice was none of them, at 33%. 16% said former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Just 15% said current Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, while 11% said Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Nick Nanos said these findings contain both good and bad news for Poilievre's continued leadership.
He's not seen as a prime minister or a close challenger. That's the bad news. The good news is that it doesn't seem to be anyone in the bushes, the shadows, in the wings that people identify as a real alternative to Pierre Poilievre.
In the absence of a clear challenger, insiders say despite some infighting, no one is organizing to try and oust him.
I think what you're seeing with the Conservative side of the equation right now is the team rebuilding itself, which is why I think you're seeing Pierre have the space and the numbers to kind of have this operating room to figure out what's next.
Carney's continued popularity could also bode well for the trio of upcoming by-elections, said this former candidate.
I do think that the Liberals have a very strong chance of securing a win in almost all, if not all, of those by-elections. I think that at this point, it doesn't look like Canadians are looking for an alternative.
Adding to this, Nanos' latest ballot tracking shows the Liberals widening the gap, with 47% support over the Conservatives' 27%. The NDP, meanwhile, are sitting at 12.7%.
I think for a lot of middle-of-the-road voters and perhaps Conservatives that are a little progressive, Mark Carney actually has a lot of appeal.
Those I spoke to today said while these numbers set the Liberals up for a smooth fall, any misstep could bring the Prime Minister's prolonged honeymoon period to an abrupt end. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
We turn now to the wildfires burning in northern Ontario and elsewhere. The latest numbers from the Ministry of Natural Resources show 5 new fires in the northeast region as of 6 p.m. yesterday, bringing the total to 46 active fires. In the northwest region of Ontario, 2 new blazes were confirmed last night for a total of 119 there. The MNR says 24 of them are out of control, but 8 fires have been extinguished since the previous update. Meantime, there are 120 wildfires burning across British Columbia tonight, and they are spreading. This afternoon, officials provided an update on the situation.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, there are 37 evacuation orders impacting approximately 8,000 people and 7,300 properties, and 37 evacuation alerts impacting approximately 7,100 people and 3,800 properties. The orders and alerts over the past few days have been changing hourly.
And in one BC community, 230 homes have been destroyed by a fire burning near Vernon. The chief of the Okanagan Indian Band toured the area by helicopter. He says the community looks like a war zone. Over in Greece, the fires have burned through mountain communities and coastal areas outside Athens. Greece is one of several European countries being ravaged by wildfires this summer. Other countries are France, Spain, and the Netherlands. The UK recorded its driest July in nearly 2 centuries. Another Canadian is preparing to go into space. Joshua Kutrick of Alberta will be one of 4 astronauts going to the International Space Station.
For me, I would just spend a few minutes here to talk about the enormous sense of gratitude that the 4 of us feel for everyone who has gone into making this mission possible. You know, personally, myself, I grew up on a cattle farm in Canada. It's a long way from being here with this mission in front of us. But the one thing that has resonated at every twist and turn in that journey has been the complexity of these missions, and because of that, the enormity of the teams that go into pulling missions like this off. So we need to say thank you to everyone.
Kutrick and his crewmates will be there 6 months conducting experiments and doing maintenance work. Liftoff from Florida is scheduled for September 12th.
People are starting to arrive here at the South Sudanese Pavilion. It's a little quiet right now, but I'm certain this place is going to be bumping tonight, whether it be with the music from these dancers or in about 3 minutes laughing at my attempt at dancing. That's coming up after the break.
Well, there you have it. Thursday, we heat up to 28 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. And then a string of days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where we should hit highs right around 24. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. Up one by Monday, 25. And you'll notice those overnight lows, too, right around 12, 13 degrees all throughout that forecast period.
Folklorama is back for another year, and the gates have just opened for the first show of the evening over at the South Sudanese Pavilion. Let's check back in with CTV's Taylor Brock. Taylor, won't be long now until the show starts.
No, but we get a bit of a preview right now, Marilee. I'm here with Yak, who is an adult ambassador here with the South Sudanese Pavilion. So can you tell me a little bit more about what we are going to be seeing tonight?
Yeah, so we're going to see like one of our 8 shows that we have to offer throughout 2 different dates that correspond with each other. So we run a 2 system where we have 4 dance groups on one day, 4 dance groups on another day. Today we'll be showing our Warap dance group. So those are our dancers from the Warap state. Showcasing a little bit about what the culture is about and the dances that correlate with that.
Well, and there's quite a few different cultures and dances in South Sudan, from what I understand. So I guess that's why you have so many different groups and shows coming?
For sure, yes. We have over 64 tribes in South Sudan, hailing over different tens of different types of cultures. So we have a lot to show for, but not too much time. So
on that note, we're going to attempt to show me a dance move. I'm going to put my mic down for a second here. All right. What do I got to do?
So there's different types. You can do like a little jump like this.
Okay.
That's the easy one.
Oh, I can do this one.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. But these guys are going to be doing like that, like roll.
Okay. Well, let's bring them out then. All right. Let's see these dancers. Or is it just me? That's okay. We'll keep trying. They're probably still warming up. I mean, a lot to memorize. All right. Okay, what's this next one?
Back. There you go.
Okay. And then do we do it backwards?
Yeah, you gotta come back here.
Okay.
See, I'm an ambassador for a reason. I don't got the knees for it yet.
You got the moves.
Oh, for sure.
I don't, but the pros are coming shortly. The show starts at 6:45 right here at the South Sudanese Pavilion. And I will not be on stage, Marilyn. Don't worry.
I'm sure it looks almost identical to what you just did. All right, thanks, Taylor.
I'm sure. Yeah,
great job.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
It's not easy to dance without music.
No, smooth moves.
Good for
Taylor,
her.
Yes.
It should be a great show over at the South Sudanese Pavilion tonight. I think there's 3 of them you can catch, and we're going to check back in with her again before the end of the show. So hopefully we'll bring you some of the real stage action yet.
Maybe she'll join in.
Maybe.
You never know. You have to stick with us, folks.
All right, Colleen, a bit cooler start to this shortened work week.
A bit cooler, the atmosphere more stable, but I want to touch on something that you mentioned just a few minutes ago, Marilee, the wildfires. Smoke specifically, Environment Canada saying that wildfire smoke will spread across the prairies, but in upper level flow. So you may notice it get hazy at times, and that will be that wildfire smoke, but the expectation is that it won't come down to the surface. So air quality really shouldn't be affected too much. But if you do see that haze, that's what it is. For the time being, those clouds you may still be seeing, they will be clearing out. There's also high pressure at the surface to help us get rid of those clouds, clear them out. A few showers across parts of northwestern Ontario right now, moving through Red Lake. Look out, you may be on deck. There's not much to that, as you can see. Other areas that could see showers tonight back in Manitoba, up along the northeast around the Churchill area and across the northeast. And again, it's scattered. There's not a lot to it. But things will start to change tomorrow with respect to increasing rain heading Manitoba's way. Meanwhile, tonight across the south, as I mentioned, surface high pressure should keep us fairly clear, cloud-free, winds are light, right into a sunny start to Wednesday morning in Ontario, back into Manitoba. But then your watching this, of course. As we get into the afternoon, parts of western Manitoba will start to see those rain showers come in. Places like Flin Flon and the Pot. Now watch this, the futurecast, the difference in an hour. 3 o'clock here has those showers sitting right there. Fast forward an hour, boom, it spreads pretty quickly. So good chance you'll see showers, maybe thunderstorms in both northwestern and southwestern Manitoba. There's also the chance, too, that they could swing through Winnipeg and the Red River Valley and to the southeast. It's not a certainty, but the odds are pretty good, put it that way. And in Winnipeg's case, it would be late in the afternoon into the early evening. Overnight we go. Still some scattered showers across the north, less active weather across the south. We get into Thursday, and then you can see a pretty heavy patch of rain there makes its way into west central areas, poking up into the northwest part of the province. No rain in sight for us tonight here in Winnipeg. 12, mainly clear. Winds at their strongest early this evening. 15 for the commute tomorrow. Mostly sunny Wednesday morning. Light southwest winds. 25 in the afternoon. Showers or that thunderstorm are possible either late in the afternoon or early evening. The UV index for Wednesday for the city is 6 or high. Quick swing around the province again. I mentioned that chance of showers in Churchill down to 11. Cloudy for the rest of the region tonight. Thompson down to 13. 21 there tomorrow. Mix of sun and cloud with the chance of showers. In the northwest tonight, clear through Flin Flon and the Paw. 12 overnight in those communities. Again, you'll likely see those showers or thunderstorms come in as early as late tomorrow morning, maybe into the afternoon. Clear tonight across the southwest. Yeah, 9 degrees tonight for most areas. Dauphin, Neepawa, and Brandon. 11 for Swan River. Swan River, really around the region, there's a low chance of showers tomorrow. Highs a little cooler than they've been lately. 22, 24 around the region, including Brandon. Winnipeg in the southeast, clear tonight. Overnight lows between 10 and 12. And then again, we've got that chance of late afternoon showers. Otherwise, a mix of sun and cloud. A bit windy tomorrow, too. Temperatures, rather, in the mid-20s, around 25. And in northwestern Ontario, partly cloudy through Kenora and Dryden. 10, 11 degrees there. 9 for Fort Frances. Sunny there tomorrow with temperatures picking up around 23, 24 degrees in the sunshine. Our first weather photo takes us west of Headingley. Patrick says the grain is starting to ripen out there, as you can see. A lovely photo. Now, Marilee, check this guy out. This is Bruce. Bruce is a big dog, but you wouldn't know it hiding there in this soybean field. There you go. That's south of Domain, Manitoba. That's well to the southwest of Winnipeg and LaSalle. Thank you, Zach, for that one. Send us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. The provincial and federal governments are continuing to crack down on aquatic invasive species. A third roadside blitz was conducted from July 17th to the 19th on Highway 1 near the Manitoba-Ontario border. 519 vehicles were stopped and 616 watercraft and related equipment were checked. 137 failed inspection. 15 required decontamination, but none of them had visible zebra mussels present. Now in June, 1 in 4 watercraft failed that inspection, and 1 did have visible zebra mussels present. Kids Help Phone is reporting a spike in young people seeking support. After the break, I'm going to speak with an expert in youth mental health to get her reaction to the report and hear how caregivers can support young people before it becomes a crisis. That's next. More Canadian youth are reaching out for overnight mental health support. Kids Help Phone is reporting a 24% jump in late-night text conversations this year. Joining me now to discuss what's driving this trend is Dr. Srividya Iyer, the Canadian Research Chair in Youth Mental Health and Learning Health Systems. Dr. Iyer, good to speak with you.
Nice to speak to you too as well.
First, I'm just curious to get your reaction to these latest statistics. How concerning is this data?
I think it's definitely important to notice it, but I would not panic. I would see this more as a signal of various things. I would see this as a signal of perhaps an increase in distress, but also an increase in awareness, an increase in willingness to seek help, maybe a change in the preferences of young people on how and when they want to seek help.
So what's at play? What factors do you think are behind this increase?
Yeah, so maybe the one definite thing that we've been noticing since 2010 in countries like Canada, there's been an increase in the number of young people who are seeking help, in the number of young people who are reporting anxiety, distress. So one thing that's at play is that there's probably an increase in distress. The second thing we are also noticing is that some of this is about an increase in awareness, maybe a reduction in stigma and more trust and more awareness of services like Kids Help Phone. So that's actually not a negative, but a positive thing. There's also change in communication preferences. So if you notice that this news is about an increase in use of text messaging for seeking help. And I think many more young people find that more private, less intimidating, more easy, aligned with how they generally now communicate, even with friends. So there's probably a change in communication preferences. It's also possible that if you notice that there are, with this increase, there's always been some concerns about gaps in what other services are available, maybe a gap in services available during the day, but also what else is available or not available in the evening and later hours of the day.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because it really does seem like something is happening at night that is causing these teens to reach out and need some extra support, specifically during those hours.
Yeah, I think, first of all, this isn't a new thing in the sense that psychologists have known for a very long time that usually in the evenings and at nighttime, there's a reduction in distractions. Sometimes there's also an increase in emotions or anxiety. You're also more likely to be alone and lonely. If you were to seek help from parents or friends, they may be asleep or less available. So there's a mix of multiple things that are happening at night, which might be explaining why text messaging is happening and increasing at night. You're a little bit more vulnerable at night, and some of the typical ways you could seek help are less accessible at night.
I know a lot of parents are, hearing this news and worried about the young ones in their lives. So are there some practical ways you can help us support, our kids before they reach a crisis point?
It's a very, very good question. And I would definitely say that it's important as parents to be concerned about this, but not to panic. I think the most important thing that parents can do is be there, listen, notice changes, let young people know that you understand not only that there is an increase in distress, but it is a very complex and changing world for many young people, with climate change, wildfires, news of that, AI changes, worries about whether or not you have jobs, rising prices. Just sort of communicate an understanding that you do understand that it's a complex and changing world for young people. Also not panic, because sometimes adolescence and youth is anyways a difficult time, so not to see everything that changes as a sign of a problem that needs help, but to let young people know that if they did need help, that you're there to speak to them. I think one of the things we know from years of research, that if a young person knows that they have a solid, trustworthy adult they can speak to, it's one of the best things for their mental health. So just being there, communicating to your family member that you're there, or a young person in your network that you're there, that you care, is perhaps much more important than anything technical or new skills that you need to develop.
Some great advice. And of course, we want to make sure that all the young people know if you do need help, Kids Help Phone is available 24/7. It's anonymous. You can call 1-800-668-6868, or you can text 686868. The first known deaths in the multi-state cyclosporiasis outbreak have been confirmed in Michigan. State health officials say both individuals had significant underlying health conditions which may have been impacted by the disease, as well as dehydration. The CDC has identified more than 18,000 cases this season, with more than 6,000 confirmed and more than 11,000 additional cases undergoing further testing. Those who contract the disease say the symptoms can be strong for several days.
The first onset was, what everybody talks about, which is the explosive watery diarrhea, which is no fun, but it's really the symptoms that arise from that cause all of the stomach pains. I had to drink a lot of electrolytes to just try to keep some hydration in my body. I was unable to eat anything for about 36 hours.
Cyclosporiasis is caused by a microscopic parasite which can contaminate fresh food or water. Health officials say it's generally not a life-threatening illness. 13 hospitals in Ontario are testing an artificial intelligence tool which predicts who's at risk of getting delirium. Research shows 1 in 4 adults become delirious during a hospital admission, and that figure worsens to about 1 in 2 hospitalized patients 65 and older. Almost any medical condition can lead to this acute brain failure, which causes a patient to suddenly be confused, hallucinate, or be aggressive or sleepy. Doctors in Ontario created an AI prediction calculator to suggest which patients to prioritize to try and prevent delirium. Experts say up to 40% of delirium cases can be prevented with proper sleep, hydration, nutrition, and mobility. A new study shows just how important it is to keep a regular schedule. The study out of the University of Missouri found maintaining a daily schedule can lower physical pain and aid against depression, especially for older people struggling with insomnia. Now, this includes when we wake up, eat, work, or study, interact with others, and go to bed. Researchers looked at survey results from older adults, about half of whom had insomnia. They found those who reported having regular daily routines had lower levels of physical pain and less depression compared to those without.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
You're not going to get away with this.
But he might.
The latest Spider-Man movie swung into theaters this weekend and into the record books. How much Tom Holland's web-slinging hero brought in on its opening weekend? We'll tell you next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting the Northern Pikes and Barney Bentall.
Well, this, of course, is the week to pick up your feet and travel around the world with Folklorama. You see what we did there? Talk about picking up your feet. This is just some of the fancy footwork you will see over at the Pearl of the Orient Philippine Pavilion. Now, this morning, CTV's Ainsley McPhail found out some of the history behind what you're seeing here.
Tinikling originally is from Leyte, the province from the Philippines, and it is one of the most well-known Filipino dances around the world. It's quite popular actually, and it's based off of a tickling bird, and we're trying to capture the tickling bird, trying not to get captured from the hunters.
You can see it for yourself over at the Philippine Pavilion this week at the St. Norbert Community Center. By the way, the Pearl of the Orient Philippine Pavilion is celebrating 50 years with special displays and performances this year. Your Morning Winnipeg and CTV News at 5 and 6 are now touring the various pavilions for the next 2 weeks. You can also test your Folklorama knowledge by taking the quiz we have on our website. Just head to ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Well, the newest Spider-Man movie swung into theaters this weekend, and it's already setting box office records.
Hey, but you're in danger. You just have to trust me. Fine.
Lots of numbers here. All right, according to Sony Pictures, Spider-Man Brand New Day broke the Avengers Endgame record for the biggest North American opening weekend with $360 million in ticket sales from theaters in the U.S. and Canada. On Sunday, Sony projected that Spider-Man would net an estimated $355 million U.S. in its first weekend, playing in more than 4,400 theaters, just barely missing the 2019 Avengers Endgame record of $357 million. But the fourth Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland had a stronger than expected Sunday and ultimately came in ahead. Another Hollywood movie that will be hoping for some box office magic is Violent Night 2. The Christmas-themed film was shot right here in Winnipeg, and now the official trailer has just been released.
So now I'm on the naughty list. I forgot the meaning of Christmas? What does that even mean?
In this movie, David Harbour is back playing Santa Claus, but he isn't exactly jolly. In fact, his Santa is armed with lethal combat skills. He'll need them to give the present of a knuckle sandwich to a ruthless crime lord overrunning the town's mall. Violent Night 2 was shot in Winnipeg last year and also stars Kristen Bell as Mrs. Claus. It hits theaters December 4th. Meanwhile, animated sci-fi sitcom Futurama is back for a new season.
We'll enter in order of expendability. First Zoidberg, then everyone else.
Hooray!
The team from the quirky 31st Century Delivery Company is back for a 14th season. This season sees the gang poking fun at scams and lab-grown meats and tangling with space pirates. Futurama Season 14 is streaming now on Disney+. Your Tuesday primetime lineup starts at 7 with The Big Bang Theory. Match Game comes next at 8, and at 9, Catch Password. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Folklorama 2026 is well underway, and tonight's fun is just getting started. We're going to take another look at what is unfolding inside the South Sudanese pavilion after the break.
The ability to get everyone together in one room.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
22, our highest temperature. I also noticed the sunrise and the sunset. Wow, we lost some minutes on either side over the weekend. Tonight, clear. We drop down to around 12 degrees. Now, there's a chance of a shower or a thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. 25, so we warm back up. Up to 28 we go on Thursday. Mix of sun and cloud. 24 degrees Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Lots of sunshine throughout that period. Up to 25 by Monday.
A bit of the break from the heat. Yeah. All right, before we go tonight, we're going to send you back over to Folklorama's South Sudanese Pavilion for another live look, because the show is now underway. This is just the first of tonight's 3 shows. It got underway just a short time ago. We are going to be taking you actually on a tour of a number of Folklorama pavilions over the next 2 weeks at 5 and 6 o'clock, as well as on Your Morning Winnipeg. You can always check these out for yourself as well. Just head online to folklorama.ca for more information and tickets.